What's going on? This is My Life in the Shot. I'm your host, Donald Washington. Now, today, I have Black Lives Matter Women of Faith, Lashawn Littrice. I'm sorry. What's going on? How are you?
Doing well. How are you?
Very good, very good. I wanted to really highlight some of the great things you guys are doing for Chicago and some of the things you guys have been doing great for Chicago, and wanted to bring bring everything you guys are doing and guys have planned in the future. Now, what do you guys have planned coming up? I see you guys have a few events coming up.
So we've been working with Answer Chicago. We currently still have the boycott going on 642 East 47th. The store is formerly called Misha. They've taken the name down, so we just refer to it now as either the store formerly Misha or 642. But the boycott is still going on. I believe it's 293 days. We have managed to divert from the store. Thanks to Carolyn Wolf, who is the founder of Black Lives Matter Women of Faith. That's my sister in the movement. She is dynamic, she is powerful, and she is fierce. And she's out there a lot more than I am, and holding it down, and she's not afraid. And she just walks by faith, and I really, really, really admire her tenacity. So right now, Carolyn is out there. She sits in her car.
Mm-hmm.
It's about education. The board have to always shut the store down. It is basically to divert the business that is being taken away from the community, our dollars that are leaving back into the community. So we're educating people so that they can understand the investment that is needed in our communities. There's an extreme lack of investment, and there's a mistreatment of our people as well. And so we're very concerned about the way that some people come outside of the community, into the community, collect the dollars, mistreat us, and then they leave. They don't bother investing, they don't bother helping the community or contributing in any way. So this is a passion of ours, and it's something that we have vowed to stay on top of, no matter how cold it gets, no matter how small the crowd gets. It doesn't matter. It's still a mission, a personal mission that we've taken on.
Okay, I want to bring the audience the footage of the Misha boycott. One of the many videos that I did that did 2 million views. This is it right here.
Make sure that you all come out and support these wonderful black-owned businesses that are investing in the community every day. We cannot afford to continue to invest in places like Misha. They have more than one location, and we're going to shut all of them down. We're no longer giving them our dollars. If we continue to unify, we can run our own neighborhoods, we can invest in our own communities, and we can own all of these businesses. It is possible. We can do it with the unification. That's why we...
And you know what? And this is something that I've been wanting the black community to understand for so long, is that we have to do it ourselves. Nobody is coming to save us. And what just like you said, we must invest in black-owned businesses so that those businesses can put money back into the community. So much do we invest, and we spend all of our dollars and Chinese food stores that take all of their dollars back to Chinatown and don't put a dime back in. This guy, I asked him, he thought I was from like CNN or something. I asked him, do you live in this community? He said no. I asked him, there's a restaurant across the street. Have you ever ate there? Have you ever shopped in this community? He said no. I told him there's a business down the street that's getting ready to close. Is he willing to invest? Not a business, but a school that's getting ready to close. Is he willing to invest in that business? He told me no. Told him, you gotta go. He gotta go.
Absolutely. And we've experienced nothing but disrespect from the owner of the business as well as their employees. It's almost as if they've taken on the mentality of what has taken place in North Carolina, and they brought it right up here. I mean, we've been called names. We've had all kind of attacks launched at us. And you know, Carolyn has been arrested 3 times, so she's had to fight 3 different charges just based on false accusations. I mean, she's had dogs sicked on her, bats pulled on her, hot coffee thrown on her. Wow. She's been pushed. It's so many things that have happened to her. And she's a 70-year-old woman. You know, people don't know she's 70, but she is, and she's determined to not let those attacks stop her from the overall mission that we have. I really respect her for that, because when she becomes devoted to something, her compassion overtakes everything else, and she really wants to see the community excel. So our thing is, let's stand together. We know the crowd has gotten smaller with the weather, and just without the lack of media coverage.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Okay, go ahead.
So sometimes out of sight is out of mind. And so you do understand that these things sometimes do take time, and we know all this in the day. We understand that it's going to take a lot more resources, and that's why we're really attacking it from the community standpoint and not just relying on pressure being put on the store, because people have to be educated in order to understand the value of themselves as well as our community. So when we have a greater self-worth, we will have a better respect for our community, but also our children. And our concern is, we have many relatives, we have many children living in that community who patronize their businesses there, but they don't ever see that particular business doing anything on the investing end. And it's pretty sad that people want to still go in the store, but they really just have, their mentality has to be changed. So we understand that it's not their fault, because we've been duped for so long.
And yes, and that's, I think, the new civil rights movement is the new black economics movement, because every other race does this unapologetically. The Chinese, they have Chinatown. They don't spend a dime in the black community. They come inside. Blacks spend $1.3 trillion a year. 98% of that outside of our community. 98% of that. And we let everybody come in our community, take every dollar out, and go back to their communities. Drug dealers would never allow somebody from up north to come into on their block, make millions, and go back up north. That would never happen in a million years. And we let it happen every day.
That's right. And we have to become intentional. I mean, if you look at the statistics, we make everybody rich, but our own communities. And we suffer as a result of it, because we're taking the dollars completely away from the people who really need them, and we're investing in other people's communities, but they won't reciprocate the exact same thing. So that's a problem. But the greater problem is, you have generations of people who have not really been educated or even think this matter is important until it trickles down to them directly. So we're trying to get people to pay attention. And while we're out there, we're passing out literature, notifying them of all the black-owned businesses that are out there, especially the beauty supplies that could use the support. We're also talking to them about if they need help or assistance in getting to those locations, because a lot of people just don't really realize that there are a lot of black-owned beauty supplies out there. So I'm kind of glad that we printed that on our literature. So when we're passing out these flyers and we're educating people, people are really shocked to see that there are actually a number of black-owned businesses that have been in existence for a number of years. But when we don't know, we kind of are forced to go to the closest base. You know, that's what we hear a lot. This is right by my house. I walk right here. But those people who drive up were like, hey, it's one right down the street. You can go here, you can go there. And it actually is helping the other businesses. They've seen an increase in their sales based off of the information that we've printed on our literature. And that's what it's about. You know, it's kind of like a Nehemiah effect. If you invest in somebody else, then to continue to tell other people, and it'll eventually build a larger domino effect. That's what we're trying to do.
Absolutely, and that's amazing, because we are the only race of people that spend all of our money outside. We have the most backward economics. Like Dr. Umar says, we're the only people that participate in our own demise in history.
Yep.
We participate in our own demise. Then we spend all our money in Orland Park and all these other places. Then we got to crawl on our knees, beg them for jobs. Then we got to wonder why our children are killing each other. Our children in our communities have to sell drugs, rob each other, rob your house, my house, to feed their families. And then our property value goes down. Then we look like animals out here killing each other because we can't give our young brothers and sisters jobs in the community. We let the Arabs, Indians, Asians make millions off the corner of our blocks, while our children have to sit on the corner, sell drugs, and suffer.
And it's pretty sad, because you just hit on something that's very important. We have a lot of intracommunal violence in our communities because systematically it has been a design that has been inflicted upon the African American communities for decades. Based on your zip code, you were not given certain jobs. You couldn't live a certain place. And basically, you just housed a certain area where you couldn't cross the street or the expressway. And now that dynamic has programmed our minds. And so we don't understand that we don't have to hurt each other. We don't have to let them give us tools like planting guns in our community, planting drugs in our community. So many of these things are intentional that once we become educated and we're not afraid to talk about it, more people will become enlightened about it. That's why we're so big on hitting those younger generations who don't understand how big this thing really is. Where they really want us to hurt each other, that's going to take us out, and it's going to make more room for them to do what they want to do. But that systemic violence, the systemic poverty, all those that disenfranchising Black people and making them stay in a certain place, that has been done strategically.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Because, after the 60s, after the civil rights movement, they moved foreign-owned businesses in our community tax-free to set up shop. They get business loans and everything that we cannot get, and we are actually U.S. citizens in this country. And we can't go and get a business loan to open up a shop. And also, somebody else was saying that we have to start getting businesses from Africa so that, when we do open up those businesses, that we can make a product that is go Black owned, completely Black owned. And it's something we haven't done yet. What else have you guys been out doing? I see you guys everywhere at every event.
So we have done a number of things with Answer Chicago, Refuse Fascism. They have included Black Lives Matter Women of Faith on a number of their different events because we share very similar platforms. And even where we may differ, we can still come together and still function as a unit. So we have an event coming up on January 21st where we're going to be marching to protest anniversary of the president, Donald Trump. That's going to be a huge event that's going to draw a number of people because, believe it or not, it's been one full year and people still don't want him in office. And never in the history, President, can we ever say that this has happened where part of this type of, not just our protests happening, there are a number of happening around those same dates. And what we are excited about is the momentum that it builds when people share the similar values. So we all have some common ground, even if there's some difference. We have enough common ground that we should be able to unify. And like you said, this will enlarge the movement. It'll also enlighten those who are younger and who might be a little bit out of touch with what's going on and bring them to the forefront, because the organizing is really what's going to be effective. But after the organizing, there has to be some follow-up. And that's what we're trying to do now, not just organize, but also have a form of follow-up. Like with this boycott, Carolyn has went and met with the alderwoman of that area, Sophie King, and she's going to be talking about some things that Sophie King is going to support her on. Initially, we didn't really think we had that support because the alderman has a lot to do with who brings businesses in the community, but community also has to speak up as well. That's one thing the community does not take advantage of often. We let businesses come and they sell all kind of stuff. I mean, take that beauty supply store for instance. We don't know if they're selling loose cigarettes. We don't know what this, but they have a lot of young people going there. They come out with very small packages. There's some strange things that are taking place. But until we brought that boycott and those violations of that building to the city of Chicago, they were never going to do any work. We've been in that building for 5 years with about 12 building violations. And until they started highlighting those things on Facebook, that's when the building inspectors came out, and now you see them doing work. If you ride past there right now, there's an awning out there. They're out there doing work, but that was never going to happen had that boycott started. So we are making some progress. I know some people might think, oh, they're still out there. What are they doing? But it's about being committed to a cause. That's what it all boils down to. We cannot throw in the towel every time something looks like it's not going to go our way in our own timings. It doesn't work like that.
Absolutely, and that's what we have to do. And that's why I think it's so important for us to have leaders. None of our young brothers have jobs. The unemployment rate in Chicago is at, I think it's 15%, which is the highest in the nation. But this is because we don't spend our money with black-owned businesses. All these Asian, Arabic gas stations, they don't hire from the community. Chinese food stores, they don't hire blacks, but we spend all of our money in there, and then we wonder why we don't have any jobs. And then why is our children shoot each other and have to rob each other? Then a lot of people say that we could turn it around within one day. If we said, okay, we're gonna spend all of our money at black-owned business. I talked to several businesses now in Richmond Park. There's 3 black-owned businesses. All 3 of them, actually 4. All of them want to open up 2 or 3 more stores. If we could get 50% of Richmond Park to support those black-owned stores, within 2 or 3 weeks, they'll have enough money to open up 2 or 3 stores each of them. We can turn our situation around. Let me tell you something. And check out, we give Hennes. Go ahead.
No, absolutely. I agree with you. That's one of the moves we're trying to do with this beauty supply. We want to take the beauty supply store and buy it out ourselves. We can do it. It's enough of us out here who have knowledge about purchasing. It's enough of us out there who have proper reserves, credit. There's also people out there who don't even realize that they have access to those resources. That door could easily be turned into, say, a bookstore, coffee shop. It could still be another beauty supply, but it does not have to exist the way that it is now in its form. So our thing now is to do just what you said. Let's pull together some resources. Let's everyone put their money where their mouth is, because we do a lot of complaints, but we're often willing to move forward on things. That would be an action after the boycott. You know what I mean? That would be a direct action, something that was done as a result of doing that boycott. So I'm with you on that. If we want these businesses to expand and grow, the banks give us a hard time when it comes to lending. The average person, they will not give them a loan. They don't have enough resources, not enough income. There's not enough money in the pool. But at the end of the day, what if we had our own pool? What if we had our own black-owned, our set of investment resources that we could come to? And it's very possible to do this. It's just like-minded people have to come together, and we have to meet on a common ground and not necessarily worry about our differences. And I'm very big on collaboration, because I believe that's the only way we're going to get it on a larger scale. You have to collaborate with other people. So that's something that I'm interested in. And the event that I told you on the 21st, it's also to talk about Lashawn McDonald and how there has not been any real movement in the trial. You know, we go to the court hearings, Carol and I go, and that's another thing, that she has been faithful and diligent and letting people know, informing people about the dates and going there. But when I tell you, we just need to be a little more unified when it comes to stuff like that, because the way that court is run is unbelievable. You know, it's almost like the people that come to support the Quan were under indictment. That's how they treat us. If there were more people that came, there would be less and less of those kind of things taking place. So that march on the 21st is also is in response to what is not happening with the Lashawn McDonald thing. Because right now you have the mayor who's sitting somewhere trying to wait for some to present this grandstanding thing to put himself back in office.
Where's the march at?
I believe I'm looking it up right now. I believe it's downtown at the Federal Plaza. Let me just check and make sure.
Okay, so it's downtown at the Federal Plaza?
So I'm going to check, make sure. But
yeah,
today is January 21st. Let's see.
So, and we really appreciate all the work you guys do.
I'm sorry, it's a march from Trump Tower to LaSalle Street, January 21st. That's a Sunday at 1 p.m. And we are one of the co-sponsors of the march as well.
Okay, and Black Lives Women of Faith this is what's putting it together. Hold on one second. Yeah, Eric Russell says, must do it for yourself. Absolutely, Eric. We must do it ourselves. We must do it ourselves, because nobody's coming to save us. And that's the mentality black people must have. Nobody's coming to save us. And also, get involved in your community, because if you don't go get involved in your community into these meetings, a lot of our village mayors, governors, the mayors of each village allow certain businesses to come into the black community. There's a business right now in Chicago Heights who 99% of their patrons, their customers are black. They don't have one African American worker there. Not one. Chicago Heights is 99% black. Park Forest, all the surrounding areas. This guy managed, and he has 35 workers, 35 to 40 workers working at a time. It's a breakfast spot. Out of 35, 40 workers working each shift every day, not one black working in this business. So this.
Do you think you want to say anything to him about that?
Absolutely. You know what? When I went in there, I noticed not one of us worked there, and I asked him, "How come we don't work here?" Chicago Heights is, and then he had the nerve to try to tell me that nobody applied. Nobody applied. I'm filming a documentary on this, on economics, on black economics, because in the town that I live in, I step out my house and everybody's cutting the grass except us. Everybody in my town is unemployed, but our village allows everybody to come inside our community. So I went to the village meeting and I asked them, "How come these people are cutting my grass and not the people down the street that's unemployed?" They tried to say that it's some type of special insurance to cut the grass in this town, that the county put a special insurance. So that's how they make sure you don't hire black-owned, you don't have black-owned businesses, and you can't start a black-owned business because they got these special insurance clauses. So the village wants to hire black-owned in the village, but nobody has that special insurance. That's what we need to fight back on.
Mm-hmm. So those type of laws are done intentionally as well. They would love for us not to know what we need, and they're going to make it harder. You're already dealing with the lack of resources. You're dealing with people that are unemployed that are trying to create avenues themselves. So what the system does is they kind of get harder by saying, "We know you can't afford this insurance, but we're going to require that you have it in order to get that contract." But that's ludicrous. And why are they allowed to do that? It's probably something that's written in their village laws from a long time ago that they're able to get away with. And unless people actually hold them to the wall on it to change it, it's not going to change. I mean, if you think about it, there are a lot of villages that have some very racist and prejudiced rules that go back decades.
Yes.
But people don't know what's on the books because they don't go and check it out. And so when you see certain places like no blacks can do this and no blacks can do that, they're still living by that. They're not telling people, let's go change this. They're saying, "Oh no, that ordinance has been in place since 1937. Really, in this day and age, we're dealing with racist ordinances. So some of that stuff is economically driven to keep us separated like they've been doing for a long time. And unfortunately, we live in a lot of communities that operate and function like that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's why it's so important that we must shop black owned, keep our money so that we can. And then a lot of people try to tell me this. For one, they say we don't own enough businesses. Well, if 80% of the community supported those three businesses within a week, those three businesses can afford to open up one more. Within a year, we can own everything in our community. Also, a lot of people say our businesses cost too much. Well, when somebody in your community gets killed, your property value, if you bought a house at $150,000, it just went down $50,000. So now you're upside down in your house. Now you have to foreclose because you can't sell it. So you're going to pay for it. Your car insurance, your house insurance. When somebody has to sell drugs, your property value goes up. Your property value goes down. Your insurance goes up. Your car insurance. Now you're paying more. You're going to pay for it eventually. And then, it hits home. Your house gets robbed. Now you just paid for it. So by you going to Tinley Park, Orland Park, all these places to spend all your money with them, every time you spend your money outside your community, you're taking a job out of your community.
That's right. Right. And if you think about it, it's just what you said. People don't understand all of those things are interconnected. So from them changing the price of something, I don't complain about having to pay more when I go to my own business, because I look at it like this: if it's a nail salon, if it's a beauty supply, if it's a restaurant, there are places that have cornered the market because they have 10 and 12 restaurants. They can afford to charge lower fees and lower prices for people to come in. But then if I want to go and get my nails done and I don't utilize the sister over here who's struggling to keep everything open, she has to charge a little bit more because it's only one store that exists that represents her. You know what I'm saying? So I look at it from that perspective. I would almost rather just pay more money just so I can support that business so it can go, versus say why I won't go there because they cost $5 more than the one down the street. And you know, sometimes we are our worst critics when it comes to stuff like that, because I'm a former business owner, and I know a lot of times people said, well, I can pay $5 less if I go over there. And I said, but if you go over there, number one, you're not going to get the same quality of service. Number two, you're not supporting your own. And so people don't understand that principle because many people have not been business owners, so it's hard to put yourselves in someone else's shoes. But I understand, trust me, and it's important for me.
Right, now's the time for everybody to start their own business. Now more than ever, start your own business. If you have a business idea, start that business idea. Support each other. Something New Era Chicago does that I respect and love to the max is that they do what is called a cash mob. So every Saturday, what they do after they go marching through certain communities, they all mob up and go to one black-owned restaurant. 40 people spending $10. You just made that, you just made that restaurant $400 that day, $500. That's a minimum wage job for someone for a week. And I've went with them several times, and every time they go back to that restaurant, they have a new employee that they can afford to employ there. I think I lost her. But however, make sure you guys spend your money. This is Lashawn Littrice. She's Black Lives Matter woman of faith. She does so much for the community. Okay, I'm sorry I lost you. I'm sorry I lost you. I got you.
That's okay. I didn't know when people called the phone that it cuts my messenger off.
Yes, it does. Yes, I'm glad you're back. However, I wanted to tell everybody all the good things you guys do, because we have so many people online that talk about the issue, but not get out there and be about it like you are.
It's really important. We did an interview about 2 months ago with Heartlands Media about some of the things Black Lives Matter Women of Faith has done, and also, so there was a radio interview, then there was a TV tape, and we talked about some of the current events and the current state of the political world, as well as some of the future things that we're going to do. And that video is going to air tomorrow on CAN TV at 7 o'clock, I think 7 and 7:30. And then the next day, it'll be streamed on Heartlands Media page, as well as their YouTube channel. So you can tune into that, and we'll be talking about some of the things that we were doing at that time, but also some of the future things, because we still work with the homeless. That's a big thing. That's a big passion for the organization. We want to try to deal with as many homeless people as possible. And while we didn't do a huge drive this year like we did last year, we still went out, and Carolyn actually did it on behalf of both of us. She went out with some people in the organizations from the north side, and they passed out blankets and food and things like that to the homeless. And that's a huge passion of ours. Because what people don't realize is there's not a lot of places that the city of Chicago have to accommodate those who are homeless. And it actually should be something that is talked about more funds should be put towards it. And we have enough abandoned buildings and enough unused property to actually construct places where these people don't have to sleep on the streets. I mean, it's ludicrous that people are still living under bridges. They took Tent City away. They just are diminishing the lives of many people. And those people are veterans. They're people who've given their lives for this country, serving them, and they just come back to nothing. And it's just unbelievable that it's not a bigger conversation than it should be, a larger conversation.
Well, just like you
Because
said,
that's our people that's out there.
yeah, and you know what? And get involved in your community because we pay a tremendous amount of taxes. Even if you're renting, you're paying more than people with mortgages. And so our tax dollars, you would be blown away about how much tax dollars actually comes back to our communities. Little or none. We got people paying $5,000 and $6,000, $7,000 in taxes. Nothing comes back to our community. We're literally getting robbed on every angle. And then we got mayors, and I'm talking to the mayor of my town. I don't want to see a Chinese restaurant in our community that doesn't hire, that's not paying taxes in the community, who doesn't shop in the community. I want to see black-owned businesses that live in the community, that hire from the community.
And you're absolutely right. We don't pay attention to the improper allocation of tax dollars, but it's been going on for a very long time. Look at the school districts. Look at what's happening. People are paying equal taxes across the board, but the schools are suffering big time. And I've taught at some high schools, when I find out that the kids are sharing books for 8 classes. That's unbelievable.
No way.
Like, I don't understand. No one is saying anything. If my child didn't bring a book home from school, I'm wondering why, and I need to go up there and I need to see how are they learning if they're not allowed to access a book and take it home. When we were growing up, we had textbooks, and our textbooks came home with us, and that's how we studied. The city of Chicago is so huge with all the schools that they're closing down and still trying to close more down. That's one thing that's very absurd, that there's a very improper allocated tax dollars. They have taken some of the dollars and applied it to those high schools where they're looking at teachers in Dubai that the mayor's kids probably go to.
Yes.
And then the school over in Inglewood can't even get a textbook, can't even get a computer to work on. I mean, it's unreal. But guess what? The residents are still paying the same tax across the board, but the money is being allocated improperly. So they're pooling more money in one section based on who lives in it. And we can use the north side of Chicago as an example. We can use downtown Chicago. You see much more varieties of businesses. You see a viability of life. I mean, it's completely different in how they invest in certain communities, but they're using those tax dollars, and they're using them improperly, unfortunately.
Yes, and that's why it's so good to get involved, find out where our tax dollars going, how much, where it's where it's going, and how it's being spent. What type of businesses are we letting in our community, and how can we invest in our own communities? Because they put it to where if you want to open up a business out of your own house, you get arrested. You get arrested.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And we can't go and open up a business in Chinatown. They would never let that. But they got a business in every black neighborhood in the country. Everybody knows if you take your dollars to the black community, you can rob them blind. That's why so much violence, so much poverty, because we can have businesses in the community, we just don't own none of them, and they won't hire any of us in those businesses. So I'm so glad that you guys brought that out, especially in the video that you guys did with My Life in the Shy. Amazing. I'm still
Thank
getting
you.
that.
That was awesome. That was awesome how you captured those moments when we were actually out there and we were fighting a unified battle.
Yes.
And the big thing is, like you said, the video still tells the story.
Yes.
Because there's a number of different organizations who came together and said, this is wrong. This sister did not deserve what happened to her. Neither does this business deserve to be here. And it brought out a level of passion. And people are still talking about it. Like you said, people are still looking at the video. We still show the video to this day. We still share it on our page.
Yes,
I think it's been sent to me a million times. Because somehow my name pops up and it prompts people to send it to me. So I have it on my timeline a million times. But it is a good way for people to see people coming together. it's about collaborating and coming together to say, okay, this is my issue. What is your issue? What can we come together on? What can we collaborate on? What can we work on? And together we make more of an impact. Especially being that we know Inglewood is saturated with crime, Roseland is saturated with crime. You have areas on the west side of Chicago, they don't even talk about the magnitude of the crime. You know what I mean? I have family members that are police officers, and some of the stories they tell that we never see, it's unbelievable. And somehow or another, we want to get on the news and talk about how crime is going down.
Right. Yeah, I seen Eddie Johnson's. I did a story on. Instead of 752 murders, we had 650 murders. I did a story on that on My Life in the Shot YouTube channel. Now, most of my videos go on YouTube now. So everything is over there. For you guys who are not watching on Facebook, go to YouTube. Everything goes over there now. Lashawn, absolutely, thank you. I really appreciate you coming on to my platform.
No problem, Donald. Thank you so much.
This is one of many interviews I will be doing with you. I'm definitely going to have T.O. Hardeman on here running for governor of Illinois. Make sure you guys vote T.O. That's something else we have to do. Why would you vote billionaires into an office to run? They don't know anything about the poor. Why not hire somebody from the streets who's not poor, that's going to look out for the people on the streets? We vote backwards. Everything we do, we must do better, and it's up to us. That's why a lot of times on my show, I take self-accountability. I don't say, hey, they're doing this. We know what they're going to do, but what are we going to do about it? It's like a kid that's getting bullied. We know they're going to bully you. But what are you going to do about it to get yourself out that situation? Are you going to unify with your other brothers and sisters? Or are you going to just stay an easy target for these bullies to bully you? And that's what we are. Because as a poor people, we're an easy target. I think I lost it again. Somebody's calling the phone. But as poor people, we're an easy target for people to easily come after us. And so the new challenge is an economic challenge. So for those of you guys who are that was Lashawn Littrice. She's one of Black Lives Matter Women of Faith. They do amazing work in the community. This is her right here. They're doing a march on the 21st. Make sure you guys follow their page, Black Lives Matter Women of Faith. This is her. You can find her at Lashawn Littrice. Black Lives Matter. Her and Carolyn, they're still doing the Misha boycott. So make sure you guys support them. You guys can also donate to them. Black Lives Matter, Women of Faith. Make sure y'all like, share, comment on this video. And if y'all not on my YouTube platform, make sure y'all go to my YouTube platform. Just go to My Life in the Shy. Peace, peace, peace.